от сигарет кружится, как тези споры, тонкий английский лед, под ним кипящее море. Рюмка на полпальца, и где-то усталая печень, но он опять рвется в зал, как будто последняя встреча. Жесткое вино разума обжигает, но будет спящих каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал. Где-то в Багдаде жара тонет в сарказме и прозе. Он пишет, как режет ножом по мифам на белой бумаге. В студиях, в старых барах, в маленьких залах кампусов он ставит под роспись богов и веру сдает под авансом. Жесткое вино разума обжигает, но будет спящих каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал. Тело слабее, голос сипит, но шутка выходит точнее. Он поднимает стакан и говорит: поверим, кого соберет скорее. Публика держит дыхание, он не дает ей надежд, только упрямая да к сомнению и борьбе. И следует смех, жестокое, но разума обжигает, но будет спящий каждое слово, как выстрел в зал, и не осталось священных щелей, где бы он тихо промолчал.
Well, I'd like to say good evening, everybody, but it's not such a good evening. It hasn't been such a good day, and I guess we're not surprised, but it's getting pretty intense out there. This is Divided We Stand. It is an emergency broadcast. We are glad to have everybody watching tonight, and if you're not watching tonight, of course, you'll be able to see this later, so that would be great. We are going to have a special guest or two tonight. We're going to be broadcasting from Kingston, Ontario in a few. But first I'd like to introduce Frederick, my new rescue dog, who got loose about 15 minutes ago and I almost had a heart attack. But he was smart enough to go to the door. So maybe Frederick will make an appearance on my lap. We'll see. So anyway, yes, this is Divided We Stand on Facebook. You can find us there. We ask that you become a member. It's painless and it's free, and you get to vent all of your frustrations. Also, we are on YouTube, and our membership there, our subscribership is growing a little bit. We ask that if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. A lot of people who watch this aren't actually subscribed. We have maybe about half or so who are subscribed. So if you have not subscribed, please do so. It's a big help to us. We are not a monetized channel. A lot of people ask you for that kind of help. But they are monetized, so we're not. And it's only a matter of time, I guess, when Google knocks us off. In fact, Dave and I were discussing Warner Brothers and Suno with the music industry, what's happening there, much like what happened when Google took over YouTube. So, long story short, please support us. Dave and I work very hard at this, and we kind of need to have the subscribers because we don't know when things are going to be knocked out of here. And again, we're not looking for anything but you subscribing. That's it. That's it. And please participate because that's how this thing works. So without any further ado, I'd go to my co-host and good friend, journalist, educator. I guess we can say, just like Kevin, he's an activist, American activist, and he's right down in the thick of it in Washington. That would be our David Price. Dave, I don't even want to know how you say. I know how you are.
When you say our, does that mean you feel? Would you quit looking for Frederick?
I don't know what he's doing.
Fine. Well, you don't know what you're doing, and you still do the show.
Come here, Frederick. Come here. I guess Frederick is I have this plastic thing here. No, you can't get anything with it. Come here, Frederick. Come here,
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, live from Bridgeton, New Jersey,
is
you're
Frederick.
Watch Brian trying to take care of Frederick.
He'll fall asleep in my arms
and speak at the same time. Yeah, well,
Dave. Okay, Dave. Start us off.
Levity. That's enough levity.
It's not a funny night.
For anybody, for anybody who's new to the show. Normally, what Brian and I do, I come up with 3 questions, or not really 3 questions, but 3 things that Trump did that was weird or that threatened democracy. And the hardest part of that is narrowing it to 3 in a week. Sometimes he gets 3 in an hour. But tonight, we're not going to follow that format because there's just one topic, and that is Venezuela. Now, I see Kim, who's sent us a message, awake, and that some of us maybe wish we didn't wake up today. I think what surprises me most, Brian, about this is I'm both surprised and not surprised.
I'm listening.
What do I mean by that? I know. I said, what do I mean by that? I say, and I mean it, nothing Trump does would shock me. Okay. Certainly he's been doing, he's been killing people off the coast of Venezuela. It's over 100 now, I believe, in ships. There's no way those ships would make it, or boats, they're not ships. Boats would make it to America. And yet, in the wee hours of the morning, he orders a bombing. Now, we really haven't, I don't know, maybe somebody out there has had an update. I haven't seen much of an update from Venezuela yet to know how many killed. But if you looked at the bombs exploding, I don't think they could do it surgically and not have casualties.
Right.
I would assume, again, I do not know, but I would assume normally what would happen is I'm assuming a helicopter or helicopters loaded with special forces.
Radar had to be knocked out, right? I mean,
right, had to be. So I mean, there were a number of steps. So it's not something that you did on the spur of the moment. Okay, so this has been planned. And where I think I'd like to start tonight, and Brian, get your response to this is: can you see any legal justification? We'll talk later about moral and ethical, but can you see any legal justification for what Trump ordered?
No, especially no, because, and I'll tell you why, because I know there are people out there, look, none of the people in this show would say that Maduro was a good guy. He just pardoned somebody 2 weeks ago who's a drug dealer. So the question arises, how could you agree with what Trump did, considering the fact that he let a drug dealer go? So this is obviously not about drugs. I know I'm jumping ahead of the show.
No,
here.
I think that's no. I think,
but it's pretty easy to speculate what's going on here because the first thing he's talked about is oil, and it's not something that you would take lightly if you were going to invade. You would definitely want to at least tell somebody in Congress. And from what I heard was the Democrats were not notified, at least as far as I know.
No, that's been a pattern for Trump. So you kind of alluded to it, so I think it's a place also to pick up. The question is not what he did, right? We know what he did. The question is why. Now, whenever you ask or try to deal with a why question with Donald Trump, you're on dangerous grounds because he is incapable, and I mean this sincerely, incapable of telling the truth. I've never, I've never seen him do any kind of extended, whether it's a press conference, whether it's impromptu, what doing a rally, whatever, and he go more than 4 or 5 sentences without lying. Um, so that is a problem. But speculation is out there, and we can speculate as well as anyone. So I'm going to suggest some, and maybe we get some responses from our viewers. I'll just when our guest comes on, I'll address it to him also and to you. So I think reason number one is oil. If you look at the places he has threatened, if you will, or actually taken action in, Nigeria has oil, Greenland has minerals, Canada has
Lots of
whatever,
resources.
lots of things, right? And Mrs. Blue Ocean, I'll call you that because I love that name. We all know who you are. But
Oh, we might not have blue
Brian,
oceans anymore.
Brian, no one, no female ever has said that to Brian in a loving manner. Look at that face. They've said it in horror. In other words, that's really nice that you did that. I mean, I assume you were talking about the dog and not Brian. Anyway,
And I'm not offended. I love the
back
fact that
back to what we were talking about. Okay. So first we have oil. Okay. Now, notice, Brian, what wasn't discussed today. Did you see anything except tangential references to the Epstein file? And the answer is no.
no.
Today's news was captured by, as it should be, the Venezuelan situation. Now, there was a famous movie that gave a three-word phrase to the American English, I think, called "wag the dog." And basically, the idea is if you're in trouble politically, you create a diversion. So this certainly did that. But what I find maybe even more troubling are the next two allegations. It's just the beginning. If you notice, he threatened the Mexican president today. If you notice that, and
Oh,
basically
he did. I
said
didn't know
this.
that. What did he do?
Oh yeah,
What,
oh yeah, oh yeah. He came out with basically paraphrasing something like this: the cartels are running Mexico. We can't allow that to happen. So
yeah, but
we,
we
the good
we
guys,
can give somebody a pardon who's a fucking drug dealer.
well, we understand there's no
Right.
consistency. But here's one that's troubled you more than it's troubled me because I was hoping you were wrong. Um, there are people who believe this was the opening salvo of a continued campaign that will allow Donald Trump to call off the midterm elections scheduled for November. Um, Now, supporters, obviously, MAGA is rallying around them. I spent much of my day today in, I hate to say the word discussion. It wasn't really that with because I have to do well. It's because of what I do. I'm on Truth Social. I'm on X, and even on my Facebook page, I keep some Trumpers, and they're unbelievable. They are. But here was the theme throughout. One of the themes from this is from the opposite side. He's the president, and you need to support the president, law, and the United States. And when the moment that they say that, there is nothing, there is nothing, there is nothing, and I'll say it one more time, there is nothing in the United States Constitution that indicates that Trump was acting legally in what he did. The simplest thing is that it is, depending on how you view it, it is an attack on a country, so that is a declaration of war, or it's a rogue terrorist operation of kidnapping. None of that is allowed. Now, historically, what's happened, and some MAGA people were pointing this out today, and I just kind of smiled. Oh, it's happened before. So we're already into whataboutism. Well, what about when? What about the? Yes, a longtime listener and friend of the page, Judy Washington, pointed out 18 times when America has interfered with Latin America or Southern America, including Cuba and Grenada. But all those people or all those countries shared something in common. They were all led by a leader who was Hispanic Latino. So we know it's been fairly well established that Donald Trump is a racist. I think so obviously he had no compulsion there. We know that he's not that bright. Okay, so here's another problem: who actually put together this package? I'm not talking about the military part. Okay, I'm talking about the orders. I don't know Trump. What would Donald say? Very bigly. I want to very bigly go. What the hell? He can't even talk. Okay, so over the next coming days, hopefully we can isolate. Is it Stephen Miller? Is it Steve Bannon? Is it Ivana Trump calling from the grave? I don't know, but we're there. But again, this is going to split the country even more. And I was talking today to someone else, and I said, really, at this point, Brian, if they gave me unlimited power, I would say, let's use the Mississippi River. One side will be MAGA, one side will be us. People can stay where they are if they want to stay, if they're on the wrong side. But I don't see this country ever in my lifetime coming back.
Right.
Now, my lifetime is relatively short. I'm 73 years old. I only plan to live to be 111, so I won't be around for that long. But again, not to make light of a serious subject, but if you've really looked at this, it's so wonderfully absurd that you would have to laugh. And what happened today, for me, is this: America ceded any hope of holding the high moral ground anywhere in the world, by this action. And I would say we are no different tonight. We are no different than Vladimir Putin and his attacks on the Ukraine. Absolutely no difference. Now, because, MAGA, yes, Putin's killed more people. I understand that. But I'm just talking about the act. I'm not going to play their game. No. What we did gave away any scintilla of the right to say we are the good guys.
All right, Dave, we want to bring in Kevin Wheeler from Canada. He says a lot going on
like
up there
Kevin.
right now. Yeah, I know you do, and that's why I'm going to bring him in right now. I'm going to send Kevin the link here. Kevin, it should be coming your way in Facebook, so hopefully
with the wonders of technology.
Yeah, but Kevin was mentioning that waiting for Carney to say something. A lot of the former ambassadors of Venezuela have been from Canada to Venezuela. We're speaking today, it'll be interesting to get
one of the things
from up
for
north. A lot of people watching tonight, by the way.
Yeah, I said, well, for people who are first timers or haven't really watched a lot, we do have guests from time to time. If any of you ever want to come on, we'd love to talk about you.
That.
And this is, even though tonight is Mexico, in your hometown, still in my hometown for 59 years, had a high moment this weekend for a bad thing. There was a protest against ICE actions. Maybe 50 or so people, I understand, took precedence. So this affects everybody. It affects everyone in America. And again, as a base philosophy for this show, we talk about three groups in America. One group is us, and us is those who believe in America as it should be, an America that can show empathy, can show compassion, follows the rules, follows the law. Then you have MAGA. And I think sometimes, Brian, and I have a tendency to do this too, we focus on Trump. But remember, Trump has three groups of people around him. First group are the main core advisors. We've mentioned some of them. We mention them every show. Steve Miller, Kristi Noem, blah, 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 blah. He also has a Congress that is, hey, Kev, I'll be done in a minute. He also has a Congress. He also has a Congress right now controlled by Republicans. However, if you notice, there are 40 representatives currently who are not going to run for re-election. Now, that doesn't mean some districts are gerrymandered so greatly that no matter who runs, it'll be a Republican or the reverse. But some big names, Brian, again, has the timing is kind of interesting. One big name, of course, we have Marjorie Taylor Greene. I will be interested to see what Ms. Greene has to say about this. Now, we're not going to make her a heroine. She's still, but as I've spoken on numerous occasions, my philosophy is this. Marjorie Taylor Greene is not my friend, but right now she is my frenemy because she is shining an unfavorable light on Donald Trump. Lauren Boebert, another staunch, is waffling. Joe Rogan. Now, all of this was happening by this, and I mean, I think that also the reason I don't think that's so extraneous. I think some of that Trump knows he's in trouble. Trump knows he's in trouble. He knows he's in trouble physically. He knows he's in trouble mentally, and he knows he's in trouble with MAGA. And he has to feel the sharks are circling around. They smell the blood in the water, and the blood is his. Okay. Now, so that's another group of people. Then he has, which, where do you assign the evil to this? He has the people that voted for him. So with that, I'm going to pause. We'll resume that. But Kevin, Brian promised me first question to you. I know you can't speak for a whole country of Canada. I know that if I were Canadian, I would be doubly livid. I would be just livid that the United States would do that. But
And
secondly,
worried.
I'd be casting an eye over here. If he did it there, would he do it there? So, Kevin, I know you can't speak for all of Canada, but bring us in. What were you sensing today? You do shows and things. What were you sensing out there?
Well, when I got up this morning, I got up at 8 o'clock and I put my regular news on. I still watch. I've been watching it all day. And then when I found out that he invaded Venezuela, I was going, okay. He was going after, Rodano. I was going, okay, fine. You're going after him for what reason? And the reason that he said he was going after him was being, a drug trafficker. I just seen what they're charging him with. They just had it on TV. He's got 3 counts. One is conspiracy to commit terrorism. Second is drug trafficking. Third is having weapons. Okay, well, if you're a president of a country, you're automatically going to have weapons. Terrorism? Did he do any terrorism towards the United States that Trump can prove? I don't know. I'm Canadian. I know he did nothing to Canada. And the third charge of the drug trafficking, excuse me, but if anybody's ever read the law of international law, you cannot drop into a sovereign country and pick somebody up under drug trafficking and kidnap them. And that's exactly what he did. Us Canadians are mad because all he did was, no matter whether the guy was bad, his wife was bad, the people of Venezuela did not like him. You just can't drop in there, bomb people, and then kidnap them, and then put them on a flight to go back to the United States to go to a U.S. court.
Right. I think the key words you said, Kevin, you said a lot of good things, but for me, the key word is sovereign. And this, look, United States has been bad with a lot of countries over the years, okay? In fact, there are reports that there were more than 50 attempts on Castro's life when he was in there, all American sponsored through the CIA and other means. So we're certainly not blameless. But I think what was so egregious about this is it was a coordinated attack, and Kevin, as you said, on a sovereign nation. Now, I want to ask you another question, because you're always honest. And you're not macho, you just kind of answer the way it's supposed to be. Are there Canadians up there that are fearing something similar could happen in Canada, even though you're ready? But
Exactly.
what's that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, look at it. If he can take over a small country, well, look at I mean, like we're a bigger country in Venezuela. You know that, Dave.
Right.
But we don't. We have a lot of resources here too. Like it's coming up to this is January what 3rd now. April of this year will be a year that he threatened us with the becoming the
Hmm.
51st state. The only reason why he wanted Canada as a 51st state is for our minerals. We have a ton of minerals in Canada. We have one of the richest countries for minerals. And to me,
Hmm.
all he wants Venezuela for is this story that he come across with his press conference about setting up, Venezuela with the oil. That could have been back in my time. That was like back in, 76, whatever. I was busy as a kid, but all he wants is the oil. I don't think he really cares about the Venezuelan people.
Oh
It's
no,
the same.
you're absolutely right.
If he took over Canada and we were the 51st state, he wouldn't care about the Canadian people. He'll take those minerals and they're going back down to the other side of the border, back down to the
Right.
United States.
Now, it's my understanding, and of course, I'm not an expert in Canadian politics, but you've had a history of being led from time to time with liberals. And here's what surprised me, Kevin, when Trump said that. Yes, I got the idea that he wants your minerals, but when he said a 51st state, I would assume there's quite a few anti-Trumpers in Canada, more now than there were a year ago.
Oh,
And that would be
that's
like me saying I want to run for the United States governor, and nobody in Alabama, Mississippi, or West Virginia has been able to vote, and I want them to come in, and they're going to vote me out. I mean, that again, inside the darkness of there's no soul light, and I mean that sincerely. I think whether we have a soul or not, that's where light comes from. In terms of even so, he's all done in darkness. But I don't even get his reasoning for. I mean, I understand what you said, yes, minerals and all that, but how he could even think. But Brian didn't know this. I don't know if you found it out today. Also, it's my understanding that in the course of him running his mouth, which he does frequently, of course, is that he actually threatened directly the president of Mexico, who he's exchanged words with,
yes,
and
I heard that today.
the rationale was, well, the cartels are running wild. All right. Now, drugs are a problem, but there's a couple ways to go about if you're serious about reducing the drug problem. Number one, there's too much damn money in it. So I favor some legalization things, which we've tried. It's not really good enough yet. But secondly, the money that flows in from lobbies who are opposed to any efforts to end drug addiction. One would be pharmaceuticals. There's no question that marijuana has proven time and time again, all the way back into ancient times, that it is a medicine that can actually not cure, but can alleviate cancer, pain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You also have the idea in America now, which again is kind of the Trump MAGA movement, to privatize prisons. Now, that's the last thing that you should have, because the government should be responsible for taking care of those who break the law, not some privatized business concern. So when he talks about drugs, I don't know whereof he speaks. Now, we're not supposed to do indications, but as a recovering alcoholic and drug addict myself, I kind of know a little bit of inside stuff. And if I were a betting man looking at Don Jr.'s eyes, he uses cocaine. I know that. So if you really want to start, why not do it there? What do you think? And again, Kevin, we're asking you to speculate on things, as they say, way beyond your pay grade. But what do you see Canada doing? Do you see it doing anything? And if so, what actions, or even just strong speeches or jointures? Could it possibly join with Mexico? To say if you mess with one, you mess with both. What do you see happening?
Well, I mean, look at Mark Carney, who just got in office. I mean, Mark
Right.
Carney's not our prime minister is not a politician. He's a banker.
Okay.
I mean, Justin Trudeau, who did the 2 terms, I voted for his father back in the day. Pierre Elliott Trudeau, to me, was
Mhm.
one of the best prime ministers we had in Canada. Um, the thing that I think the thing that really irks a lot of us Canadians is on April 24th last year, when Trump came out and said about the 51st state, and then he started coming in with the tariffs against Canada. Now, look, we are hurting here in Canada now because of the tariffs, and he said it was all about fentanyl. Fentanyl has been proven in Canada that we only in Canada, the drug dealers here, 0.1% out of 100%. So
Mhm.
0.1% of 100% shipping to the United States is nothing like what comes from Mexico. So we got along great with every president in the United States since I was a kid. And I'm 66 years old.
Oh, you're a
But
child.
yeah, well, to your age, yeah. But
Oh, thank you.
you're welcome. But look at
But you're a bright child.
Brian has been in this country. He came up here when we played hockey here. We are lovable people. We
I
don't
can vouch for that. Lovable people, yes, indeed.
we don't want hassles. We don't want people stepping on our toes. We live a very, very quiet life. We don't have a big military.
Now you
When I
don't,
was
but I think that may change.
well, I
It
mean,
may have to
Trump.
change.
Well, not to be rude, Trump messed up a really good deal. Now
Huh.
we're going to be getting the Gripens out of Sweden instead of buying jets out of the United States because nobody trusted that he had control of the jets. So we're likely getting them from Sweden. We saved ourselves about $4 billion, which is good. But when it comes down to the drug issue, I don't think that drugs are a major problem. You have to go after the cartels. And the countries that you go after are, if Venezuela was a big one, that's fine. But you don't go after a president for drugs, even though he may be involved in it. You go after the makers. The same with the
Mhm.
Sinaloa cartel. You think the president of Mexico is involved with the Sinaloa cartel and other cartels in Mexico? No. You go after the cartels. Now,
Kev,
what
we just got.
Trump saying, I'm going to go to Mexico next. Okay, fine. And then Cuba tonight turned around and said, they agreed with what Trump said about what he did in Venezuela. Well, I thought Cuba and Venezuela were friends. So who's backing down here?
Well, again,
Are they
uh,
are they afraid of your president and your military?
Well, they're afraid of a lunatic.
yes,
I think that's the
yeah,
issue.
and Brian, that's where it goes. We got a question, or not a question so much, but a statement, and I agree with this. Don't forget about Trump's threats against Greenland.
Right. Well, Kevin
Again,
and I were talking about that prior to the
We
well,
were
broadcast.
talking
actually,
about that earlier. Yeah.
actually, of course. Now, here's one for both of you, but Brian,
Canadian base there too. Let's not forget that.
I'm going to ask you, Brian, to go first on this one, if you would. There were indications today from some very bright, I don't want to call them students of politics, but certainly brighter than I am about studying politics. And they foresee, or one of the things they foresee for this action is really a danger for the world. We said it takes out our moral high ground, but also this is what they see it might leading to. China will now go into Taiwan unopposed, using the rationale, well, America did it. Not that they need that, but they could, right? I mean, they will go into Taiwan. I don't think there's any question there. And we really, how do we say no? Go take, and Trump's already indicated he probably would. And again, they're yellow people. Trump doesn't care about them. Then you've got Putin and the Ukraine. This is carte blanche for him to go. How does, I mean, we already know. This is not the show to deal with it, but basically for anybody who's new to it, pretty much in agreement. Something happened. Most of us here on the show are agreed. Something happened in 1987. Whatever it is, we're not sure. But since 1987, Donald Trump has not issued one word of criticism about Russia. So and then you've got the United States moving to take over South America, Central America, Mexico, Canada, um,
Greenland's
and
that.
Greenland's there now already. Greenland, you know, who Greenland falls under the auspices of Denmark,
Correct.
and
Yep.
so it's sort of like the British colony kind of thing, you know. I mean, a little bit. And so, what Trump did, totally disregarding that, is he sent one of his flunkies to Greenland as like a quasi ambassador, which of course did not sit well with Denmark because it wouldn't. I mean, you know, Trump doesn't understand. Now, here's something I would ask all of you to, as you encounter MAGA people, I have a couple things that you should ask them about in a polite way. One is Donald Trump presented himself in the election as a candidate for peace. That's how he's been fighting for this Nobel Peace Prize, lost it, and then got the FIFA made up, which is about as important as the toy in a McDonald's meal. But he got this right, and so he's got this peace thing. What about that? You know, what about that? And the kicker that I want to hear them, and this is where I'll try to pin him down, is this. Trump said, and has said from the day he came down that golden escalator, which I wish it had bucked him off, but came down that golden escalator to run for president the first time, he's been saying America first. And we even have a new 4-word phrase that, to me, if you wear it on your hat, it says, I'm a big asshole. But what it really says is make America great again. Now, how does this make America great? Now, again, Miller, the smart ones, they may be able to twist it. But the bottom line is that peace, you voted for him for peace, is this peace? And I would challenge tonight anybody who runs across this who is MAGA, if indeed we do go to war, a declared war, anywhere in the world now after this, I want a promise from you that you will go and enlist immediately.
They won't.
In the war.
Okay, I mean,
I don't care.
I've
I
said
don't
this.
care if
You can't expect Kyle Rittenhouse, who he's certainly willing to shoot him up when somebody is unarmed, and he has the police behind him doing high fives. But when the tables turn and he has to face the reality that somebody else has a weapon, he's not going to do it, and nor are any Republicans, like any senator's son in general. They're not going to. This is why they have weapons, because they know they have the advantage, because the decent people don't. You know, this is why Canada's decent, because most people don't carry guns, and if they do, it's for hunting.
Brian, that's why our gun laws in Canada are so strict. You get caught even with a smuggled-in handgun here, you're looking at a minimum 2 years.
But you don't have the belligerence that we have, and I suggest that the reason why the NRA is so powerful is not because people like guns, it's because people, they know this is a divided country. They know that they can intimidate the decent people like ourselves. I'd like to openly say that. Maybe some people would disagree, but this is it's a political situation in which we are the enemy, and I think it goes way beyond Trump. I think this is it's like the curtain. All it has to do is be pulled, and you will see that Trump couldn't do any of this if he didn't have. And I'm not talking about decent Republicans. I'm saying people like the Roger Stones, the Steve Bannons, the Stephen Millers, and then of course you have your idiots like Hegseth being thrown in there. But there's some really, really evil people who are now entrenched with power, and Trump knows he's just the facilitator of it. And he's going to be gaining from it, because what is he gaining? He gains attention, where the others are going to get something much greater, and that's control of the country. Trump loves the attention.
I think if a label, we've got hundreds of labels for Trump, right? But one that I don't think, and I'm going to try to make it stick even more because I believe it's true, is Donald Trump is the biggest attention whore currently in the universe. What he's done. There are great parallels to be done.
We know that in Canada. I can guarantee you that.
I know. And what happens is, because he's an attention whore, he doesn't think through attention. Now, one of the things that is true is Donald Trump is closely affiliated with the World Wrestling, that used to be WWF, WWE now. He's actually in their Hall of Fame.
And then the irony of it,
Right.
it's a
He
metaphor for what he is.
Well,
I
that's
thought
what,
Dave
if you
in
want to,
Canada. I thought Dave was going to say, like in Canada, we think he's part of the KKK. That's what we
Well,
think here.
well, I would say, we do know that his father was affiliated with them, and we know that the KKK supports him.
But he doesn't even need the KKK. He just has to have these Republicans who just say, we're taking back this country. We're going to go back to 1860.
Well, that's true. Just to finish that wrestling thing for a point, if you really want to understand Donald Trump, there are two things I would recommend that you do. One is to read about Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn was a lawyer. He is associated directly with the two most dangerous times of my 73 years on the planet that weren't involved war. One, and now it does involve war possibly. One was the Joseph McCarthy period of the witch hunts and the communists. And one of the things about that, Brian and Kevin, is a lot of people don't realize they know something about that. And they know a little bit about the Hollywood blacklist. But at the same time, McCarthy was running the Lavender Scare or ushering that in. And what the Lavender Scare was if you're gay, you go. And there were over 10,000 government workers that were gay. Now, the way that worked, though, you didn't have a right to prove yourself. So, Kevin, you and I were doing the show, and then we talk. We're not, one of us wants to do the show better than Brian. So we say, listen, Kev, just accuse him of, homosexual acts, and the accusation would be enough back then. So
Exactly.
And Roy Cohn was the master of that. Now, Cohn, and again, if you don't want to, and we don't have to read everything about Roy Cohn, just Google, or if you have AI, whatever, the 6 rules of Roy Cohn. Trump has never deviated from that, ever. And then the second thing is follow or get some kind of feel for the WWE. And basically what they call it, and Brian, I know you're not necessarily a wrestling fan. We're not a wrestling fan at all.
Definitely not a wrestling. I mean, collegiate wrestling I can take, but
no.
not wrestling.
But one of the things they all have these terms, a squared circle, whatever. But one that they have is heat. And what heat is when you become bad deliberately to get a reaction from the crowd. And that's what Trump doesn't care. He doesn't care if it's a good reaction or a bad reaction. He wants a reaction, right? So let's see what Mr. Anthony has to say here. I carry the I Have a Dream speech in my pocket with me whenever I go out. If I die unexpectedly, the world will know that I was a freedom fighter. And Anthony, we know each other personally. And we know that you are a very good person. And we know that you are a freedom fighter. And what we have to do, gentlemen, is get more freedom fighters. And not just in America. We need them in other places. Kevin, I know you have your shows.
I'm the number one Canadian freedom fighter.
I know.
I have to interrupt. I got to ask you this because I'm going to forget this.
Go ahead.
Trump, gentlemen, mentioned the Monroe Doctrine. And I think most people at least have had some memory of maybe learning the Monroe Doctrine, a summary of it when they were in high school or something like that. But Trump mentioned the Monroe Doctrine. Of course, he was looking down at the speech. So I don't even think he knows what the Monroe Doctrine really is.
Has no idea.
So, but he said, I'm going to call, he says a lot of people are calling this the Donroe Doctrine. And this is when we're talking about somebody who doesn't even know what the Monroe Doctrine is, he starts talking about it. That, again, it goes back to what I'm saying. There is a cabal. This is not a conspiracy. This is not, conspiracy theory. This is real. The very fact that you would pardon Roger Stone, the very fact that you would pardon Steve Bannon, any one of these criminals, we have, again, and look, I think nobody out there is suggesting they don't know what I'm saying. But the reality is we have a criminal government here. And I know, Dave, you're saying, well, that I think you alluded to it about 10 minutes ago, what will happen coming up? Will they be so disgusted? I'm just trying to summarize. I
Right.
think, and you and I talked about this previously, but just as we say, we can't believe that people are so belligerently stupid, as I talked about yesterday with you, Dave. I think there are people who believe in criminality, or they accept it. They accept
Well, there
it
you are. That's the key word there. Um,
because they cheat on their taxes. I'm sure.
Well, look, I think, yes, I think one of the things that should bother us and doesn't maybe enough is the hypocrisy that is sewn into the fabric of every red MAGA hat out there. Okay. I believe in God. Well, show me. I'm a Christian. Show me.
The God that they believe in is they create their own God. They have created their own God.
And they've even taken, and you and I debate this all the time, Brian, because we have differing ideas. I respect yours, but I know mine are right whenever we differ. The idea is that I don't think being a Christian precludes you from being a good person. I think being a bad Christian can make a bad person. And so,
Oh well, let's remember the Crusades. They weren't such a great time, too. I mean,
they weren't great Christians either.
right?
Okay. A true Christian is someone who follows the precepts of whether you believe he's the son of God or some, I don't know, magic potion wizard.
Or even a person who lived and existed and had the right ideas. I mean, I
All
think
of
you
that
could
is
accept
fine.
that.
No, all of that is fine. But what I find amazing, and Kevin, I don't know if it's the same in Canada as it is here, pretty much people on the right who either fall into either the evangelical Christian mold or Christian nationalists really forget about the New Testament, even though Christ and Christianity are supposed to be part of that, and they just go with the Old Testament.
Right, because most Christians, I mean, don't have the turn the other cheek. If you think about
Well,
it,
that's the thing,
it's
Brian.
beat their ass. We want two eyes for an eye.
Well, because they
Crusades were an example of it.
they subscribed to the Old Testament version. God was an eye for an eye. But Jesus came along, or didn't come along, or whatever, and said the words that are attributed to him are turn the other cheek. Now, you can't get two more different points than that.
Right.
So I've always been troubled by that, and more so now than ever. If you're not real sure what a pseudo hypocritical fake Christian is, I would suggest you look at the life of the South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, or the life of the current Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. So, Kev, to you, just real quickly, don't belabor it, but do you have a similar problem in Canada, or are more people
Do
more
you even have
just religious
evangelicals there? I mean, is there an
No,
evangelical
well,
movement in
no, we
Russia?
do- we
I mean,
do
Russia.
have evangelicals. No, we do have evangelicals here, and we do have Christians that go to the Catholic Church. We have Protestants. We have Anglicans. We have Muslims. We have like every in my city here, like here just in Kingston alone, I would say there's 10 to 15 different faiths.
Mhm.
And I get to talk to people about faiths, like their faiths every day. Like, like sometimes, I'll get a Nigerian that comes to talk to me and he says, God was black. And I say, well, God was white because I'm white. We do have different faiths on what we believe in. Now, I go by the Old Testament Bible, just because to me the Old Testament was the first Bible written. I know they had stuff in the New Testament, but I'm actually an Anglican. I'm not a Christian.
Okay.
I'm an Anglican. I don't.
Can you just
when I go
explain
to-
briefly for people what that means? An Anglican, I mean Church of England, I know, but
Yeah, it's basically it's the British faith. This is Anglican came a long way from Britain. My mother was from Ireland. My mother was basically an Anglican, not the Christians that they had in Ireland when she came here when she was 4.
right.
And she brought me up with the Anglican faith. Now I used to go to church all the time. Brian knows this. Brian and I played hockey 50 years ago. well, not 50 years ago, Brian. Yeah, 50
About
years ago.
50 years ago, yes. Almost a half a
Years
century
we
ago.
were talking against each other.
Oh.
And I went to a church called St. John's Anglican. It was one of the most prestigious Anglican churches in the city. And we don't do like what the Christians do with the tic-tac-toe. We don't do, dipping your fingers into the water unless you're baptized.
Right.
We do have days in church where we do get a drink of wine and the crack of the bread on special feasts. I think that goes on almost every church, as far as I know. But I haven't went to church since I was, I don't know, maybe 19 now.
Mm-hmm.
19 or 20. I went to funerals and had to go to masses and stuff for churches. I've even went into
to go to services. Okay.
Yeah, I went to Catholic services for people who passed away or weddings or whatever, but I do believe there is a God. I know that I'm going to go somewhere. I know my spirit's going somewhere. My body's going in the ground or cremated, but if you don't believe in it, then you have nothing to believe in every day. You have no right to get up. You have no right to get up in the morning to believe that there's nothing there.
But see, Canada is a different country, and it can have its own rules and should have its own rules. But in America, it's supposed to be a separation of church and state, and a democracy
Absolutely.
is not a democracy is not a theocracy. Although many, many, many people would favor that. I don't want to spend a lot of time because, we don't have a lot of time, but this brings up a thought I've been working with this week. Not an original idea of mine. I wish I'd had it. It's brilliant. We have a new mayor in New York who chose his Bible, the Quran, to be sworn in on. And of course, that set off everybody, everybody on the right. And somebody proposed, and I thought this was really interesting, that no politician should be sworn in on any document other than the Constitution, which they pledged to defend. And I'm going to explore that some more and write a little bit about that, because I think that's just simply brilliant, because that's what it says. It takes all this other onus, kind of out of it. Now, a couple of things came up from comments over here. Let me see. What's the one I wanted? Okay, hold on, just give me a minute here.
I believe in Mother Gaia.
And this is kind of a segue into it. Trump. Okay, what comes out of my body in body waste is more Christian than anything Donald Trump has in his body, and there's not an ounce of Christianity that comes out of me that way. However, if you noticed, which is so typical Trump, at the New Year's Eve party that he threw at Mar-a-Lago, and yes, I'm a little miffed. I didn't get an invite, but he had auctioned off a painting of Jesus. Two things about that. One, I believe I'm correct in this. It was $2.25 million, the winning auction bid. And Sandy or somebody here raised the question. I wonder where that money went. I think I can tell you.
That's what I was going to say to you. Where'd that money go?
That's not, that's not even an issue. There's no accounting for that. But the other thing was, I thought this is so typical of attention whore Trump, to up the bidding. Because first of all, the first bid was $100,000, and he went kind of ballistic, supposedly, pointed at someone and said, you could get $2 million. Anyway, so it's Trump being done. But at the end he said, well, okay, we'll up the bid. I will sign it. Yeah, that's just what I want. A picture of Jesus Christ signed by Donald Trump. And again, that just gets to Trump.
Because all of us Canadians, he thinks he's a god. He's not a god. He's a moron. To us in Canada, he is a moron.
Which makes him the more dangerous.
He's a moron to us Canadians. I know a lot of people. I've talked to people all day, Dave and Brian.
Right.
We're online about the news. When I posted what I posted, I did get some bad feedback and stuff. But as far as I was concerned, I stick to my beliefs.
Yeah,
I just don't think. I think there was a different way they could have done this, because we don't know the news of when they started dropping those bombs in Venezuela and they were dropping it on military assets that they had there. We don't know how many innocent kids or whatever
Oh, look,
killed because we don't know yet. We don't even know how many collateral damage civilians
right?
were killed.
We were talking about that right before you came on, and
Yeah.
think about what we call that, and that's the term we use: collateral damage. If that's your child or that's you, it ain't collateral, right?
And then Trump gets on here every day in the news, and you hear him bitching about 30,000 soldiers died in the Ukraine and Russia war. Well, you were the one that said when you got elected, you were going to have this all settled in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, that didn't work.
Excuse me.
Now, one of the
I can count my fingers. 2 weeks times 10 times 10 times 10, 10 and 10.
I think you touched on when you start talking about the military, and Brian, I'd like you to address this one. There has been a big push, and I think it's a righteous push, if you will, to make sure that all military personnel, from the National Guard, whom I deal with daily here in DC, all the way up to the Pentagon generals, whom I don't deal with, understand that you have no obligation to follow any order that is unconstitutional or illegal given by the commander in chief. Now, the commander in chief, has this power, which, I mean, he is one. There's only one commander in chief. But my wife Judy asked me an interesting question. She said, "Well, what about all the military and the however they got it? I'm assuming helicopters and the pilots that bombed. Didn't they say maybe this is illegal?" I told her, I said, it's very hard to disregard an order. It's something you don't do. I mean, you're not trained to do that. I mean,
Especially since he has this one general who's just some badass asshole.
and it's the same thing. Now, so what do you think, Brian? Do you think? Now, let me do it this way, and then Kev, you can follow if you want, or just let Brian handle it.
Sure.
Can
I'll
you
follow.
foresee? Can you foresee members of the military who now some have already resigned, right?
That's what they're doing, but they're not. It won't matter.
No.
It's getting worse and
But
worse.
can you see them saying, no, this is a line that I will not cross and I will not do? And I'm not saying it's easy for them to do that. I mean, it's really easy for me to say, "Oh, I wouldn't do that." Well, I'm not a soldier and I'm not there. What do you think, Brian?
Any more than you expect anybody who's liberal to get out there and put their life on the line. Even when you had teacher negotiations, Dave, because you were part of those when it got really, really difficult, how many people were willing to put their ass on the line? That's and that's why people say about Russia, you can't be a hero. You have one guy that was the hero, and that was Navalny. Well, you had,
And look where he is.
But look where he is, right? So, it's and I understand it's very difficult if you're a private in the army. You've got no chance. Yeah, there could be particular generals, but once they leave, now you have no check at all.
Well,
this is why I say this is Dave. This is serious shit here.
Oh, no.
Because they have control on all levels of government. The institutions, above all, do not have the checks and balances that we thought they did. I don't see. I think you are absolutely right. I don't see any way in our lifetime that we get out of this, and it only gets worse. And we better figure something out, because even people like ourselves, at some point, they'll do what they do, and this is where the Russia thing comes in. Even things like Divided We Stand, a small show with a small viewership, with 1,600 members, and that's it. Then they come after us because they will not allow dissent, any dissent. No,
I do.
That's how they survive.
Well, that's like I was saying to Brian. Hey, Dave, I was saying to Brian, and I think it was Brian, what was it, 2 months ago? I made some rude comments about Trump on my Facebook, and I got shut down for a week.
Right, you got shut down.
Yeah, we've pretty much all had that. In fact, this is not a good time to.
But it was honest.
It
was something honest. It wasn't rude. It was just honest. I called him a moron.
Well, he is. In fact, I have a shirt that says "Morons are governing America." MAGA. Now, Kevin, I do want to suggest to you, though, if it gets really bad in Canada, you do have a secret weapon that you haven't brought up yet, and that secret weapon is poutine. I love poutine. Okay,
Oh, you
and
got
we
it.
don't
You
have
got
it
to
here.
take. You got it. Oh my God! If you ever come up to Kingston someday, you and Brian will have to pop up here because I make the best poutine. I make better poutine than Montreal does.
I thought you were talking Russian for a
Okay,
second.
No, no, I
what
make better
poutine? No,
poutine than they
that's
do in
poutine.
Montreal. That's where poutine started. Was Montreal, bro?
And Kevin, in case we don't get to say it, thank you very much for being on the show.
Yeah,
I
Kev.
think you serve so many purposes. First of all, you are intelligent. Secondly, you are articulate. Thirdly, you're not afraid to say what you mean. And fourthly, when you're talking, Brian's not, and that's always good for the show. But this is a question. This is a question.
Kevin
This is a
used to
question I
talk
ask
on the ice while he was playing.
I'm sure he did. There's nothing
Okay.
wrong with that.
That's why. That's
Two
why
things
half-
going on.
That's why half his teammates
Kevin,
were afraid of me on the ice.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is a question you're answering for all of Canada. I don't want to put pressure on you, but
Okay.
Brian is in the room, and his new puppy Frederick is in the room. They're the only
Yeah.
two people in there. Who is the smartest person in the room?
You can say Frederick.
Notice
'cause
how long he
I
pauses.
love Frederick.
I don't know. I'd have to say Brian.
Okay, that's Canadian.
And don't forget,
So we-
Kevin has a deer rescue named Lucky, and
Yeah.
they're close
I
friends
understand. I
Yeah,
understand.
he just turned 84 years old.
in dog life.
And
Yeah,
dog,
and
yeah,
actually, if you guys want to see, there. he
Oh
is right
wow,
there.
there's Lucky. We have 2 dogs on, 3 human beings and 2 dogs.
Lucky.
hold on. Let me get my pet.
Lucky, there,
Hold
there,
on, Eric.
there's Uncle Brian.
Okay.
There's Uncle Brian. Say hi.
Hey, Lucky.
There's
He's on that
Uncle Dave.
Leafs pillow, I guess. Is that a Leafs pillow there?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, it's your Leafs pillow.
I got that pillow 5 years ago. I never got to use it once.
Well, because you love your dog.
You know,
No,
I've got a
no.
pet here too.
What is
you got
that?
Zumba. That's Zumba.
This is an officially designed voodoo doll from New Orleans who affects only one person, the person who is in charge at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. So I use this.
Yeah.
I use that frequently, but I just want to check in because
Well, it doesn't seem to be working very well, Mr. Price.
I've seen
Well,
one like
I-
that.
I
and
know.
Dave, I seen one like that, and the person called it Zumba. And I said, well,
Yeah.
what is Zumba? They call it the devil.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was totally, we're way out there now. But you know what? As I sit here and think, Trump has challenged so many of my, what word am I struggling for here? Things that I based, yes, from New Orleans, Anthony. Precepts, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Maybe that's not it. Things I held as truth, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's this, that, or the other. And for the most part in my life, I have believed that evil is not intrinsic. It can be caused, it can be learned. There's any number of reasons. But, with Trump and some of the others, evil may be a real force. And if it's a real force,
It has no rules.
exactly. And then we have to do the good. Today, I mentioned to my wife, we were driving back, and I don't know, we're talking about one of our friends who's gone off the deep end. God, I saw a lot of deep end people today they used to know who were Trumpers. And I know for a fact that this person, his wife and his children walked out on him because of his horrid beliefs centered around MAGA and the president. And I said, and he was starting today, and we were jawing back and forth. And I was so tempted to say, how's your ex-wife? And when's the last time your kids have talked to you? And Judy goes, that's terrible. You can't do that. I said, no, I won't. She said, then you're just as bad as him. And there's the question we'll end with tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going
I
to do it
got
this
I
way.
got one thing I want to say.
Oh yeah,
But I know
you can
we
say
only
in
got
your
a
closing
minute
remarks.
for-
Yeah.
we only got a
But
minute
anyway,
40.
here's the question. Michelle Obama said, "When they go high or when they go low, we go high." Admirable. Now with Trump, we've said, and I think it's true, there's no bottom. So if you really worry about, you're always going to be higher than Trump because it doesn't matter what you do almost. But So, any comment you want to make, Brian? Start with you. And
I said this to Kevin earlier. At some point, just like Canada will have to make the decision to, right now, coalesce forces with Europe, with the Commonwealth countries, and also coalesce forces with the blue states. I think that's really important. I think now we have to look, I don't think we can do this alone as Americans. What we need is international help. We need to bond forces. The blue state. This is what I would do if I had some kind of control. I'd say, okay, look, state of California, you threaten to, give, secrets to Canada, to whomever, because we generate 80% of the GDP of this country, the blue states. And that's one thing that is an undeniable fact. So what we have to do is say, okay, you're going to do your shit. We're not going to fight evil with evil. We're going to fight evil with leverage and intensity. I think that's the way you go, and you have to think outside the box. But I think it has to be done as almost like an international coalition. And I think the governors have to start making contacts with foreign nations that you can trust, who have a good track record in this kind of situation. That would mean Canada. That would mean, I don't know about Australia, but I would definitely say England. I would say generally France, Germany. And then the list could go on, but you need that. And without that, look, we needed the help during the Civil War. We needed it during the Revolutionary War. So, Dave, I don't think we can do this alone. I think that we have to get really, really smart. And again, it's all about leverage, and that's all I'm going to say.
Well, one real quick thing to that. I think you called on the Democratic governors to do it. And right now, whether you like them or don't, there are a number of strong Democratic governors out there. Now, many of them are eyeing running for president. Again, we don't care. Do your job. Kevin, you've got closing tonight.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, I just want two quick points. So we've got the Kuzma coming up shortly. That, Mexico, United States, and us have to discuss. Now, after all the rhetoric with the 51st state, stuff like that, I don't know if Carney's going to deal with it. I'd rather deal with Mexico and deal with, we'll say Britain or Germany, France. We're already dealing with Sweden. We're dealing with Finland. Canadian public now have no respect. I'm not saying all of us, but a lot of them don't have respect for not the American people, the American government.
No. Right.
40% of the snowbirds are selling their homes in Florida this year. We got a notification today. 37.5% last month did not go over the border. That's like about $6.5 billion a month or a year, or $6.5 million a month or something.
Right.
The Americans lost a lot of money because of this guy in office.
I think that might be the ultimate irony, is he talks about saving, he talks about this, and I don't know, tying in what you just said, Kev, he's not averse to losing money, but he likes to get some money for himself.
I just did it on purpose.
And I saw today where
right.
he joked at
he
the
wants
press
to look
conference,
lucky.
but it was a joke with truth behind it. He said, I did not know this. I guess maybe I should have. There was a $50 million reward out on the president of Venezuela. And Trump looked and pretty much, I'm paraphrasing him, said, you know what? I should get that reward. A, that he said that is weird. B, that he said it in that situation. But C is, I believe, somebody better keep an eye on that damn money.
No,
So I'm not going to be surprised.
Guy left the press conference today, he was the one that said, well, we just saved $50 million.
Well, and
That's your-
yeah, I know.
Rubio said that.
Yeah, I know. And then Trump joked that it should go in his pocket. But whether it was joking or not, I don't know. Again, to everybody, I always say,
Dave,
I'm just going to say to everybody, to everyone watching this show.
I'm going to leave with this last question. I'm going to ask you directly.
Go ahead.
Look, you were in the press at the White House. Why is everybody bending over backwards for this man?
God. All right, here's what I'm going to do. Kevin, we don't have a show Sunday, all right, but we will resume next Sunday. I would like, if you're comfortable with that, and you're welcome to come on, or you're welcome to just sit back and listen. That's going to take me a while to unravel. I also am troubled by it. I think we overuse this term, but I'm going to use it, and I never use it. I think it's an awesome question that gets really into the weeds, as you say, cliched, or gets really into the trouble that we're in. So would that be okay with you if we feature? That'll be the focus of our next show.
Back on again, because between now and next week, we don't know what's going to happen here. Because, like I said, the vice president of Venezuela and the defense secretary said they're, I guess, to what I'm just seeing it here, they're under martial law.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing right now, America, is
Trump, like you said, we're ready for a second strike. There could be a second strike.
And Kevin, supporting what you just said, that second strike could be anywhere.
Well, let's just say this. I want to add one last thing. Is that again? This is as I think we all kind of alluding to. This was not about the fact that Trump cared that there was a drug dealer. This is about oil. So if anybody thinks Trump's going to stop it, well, let's just arrest Maduro. Is some kind of political advantage of doing that. No, the economy is tanking. He wants to have more and more oil because he knows that the oil is the lifeblood of the economy. He can drop the gas prices. He can drop the prices of plastic. And then what's going to happen is it's going to drop transportation prices, and it's going to make look the economy is good, but it's going to be at the
expense of the Venezuelan
expense of the Venezuelans. Exactly. So this is the shit of it, and fuck Trump. I mean, this is, and you know what? A lot of people will be really cool with that. They don't care as long as it's happening over there. Like, we don't care. It's like if somebody said to you, on the other end of the universe, there's these people who are getting tortured every day, but because we're, a trillion light years away, we don't care about it. As if,
we don't care.
I don't see it. It doesn't really matter. It does matter. Everything fucking matters.
And
to me, they're God's children. They're human beings just like us. They have a heart. They got blood. They got two legs. They got two arms.
Well, nobody deserves to suffer.
They got a brain to think.
Trump.
I don't know why people that come under dictatorship in any country don't take care of their own problems. And they got to have somebody like him come in and do it.
Kevin, now you've given us a theme for 200 of the next thing.
Sure, right.
That is, again, seriously.
No, the next thing I'm going to come about is that I hope that actually somebody bitches and complains about the international law he broke. I hope it goes to The Hague. And I hope they actually arrest that prick and they throw him in jail.
Yeah, well, MAGA is going to be a worldwide movement the way he's going. He can get all the evil people.
Just made me think. We're going to do this all night. I will finish with this.
We're way over right now.
Do not, people, anyone listening live or wherever, do not get discouraged. And what I mean by that is continue the fight. The only bad thing is backing away from the fight. Take a rest if you need to. Find something that occupies your time. You can get away from. And we're in a brand new age. Listen, what time? What time? And I don't even know. What time did the news break? I didn't see it until 10 a.m. I assume it broke earlier.
I was up. I watched it this morning. I was on at 7:42.
That's Eastern time.
It would likely was on our news here in Canada at 4:00, but I was sleeping because I guess it happened 2:00 U.S.
Whatever, right?
And they're like an hour ahead or an hour behind.
By 10 a.m. Eastern time here, there had already gone out a call for a White House protest specifically for this. And so what I'm saying is, if you look at small little Bridgeton, New Jersey, 20,000, they took to the streets on Saturday. You look at Washington, D.C., they took to the streets on Sunday, maybe 2, at most 3 hours after the situation develops. So there are people out there fighting, and what you have to ask yourself is, can I join them? And if I can't, can I help them? And if I can't do that, can I give them finances? In other words, what can you do to stop Donald Trump? Because someday, it's kind of a joke, but every one of us will be held accountable, whether for what we did in this time in which we live.
Well, guys, I'm going to have to definitely end it. I want to thank everybody. We are definitely ending right now. So I'm going to put on the trailer that we missed in the beginning. Kevin, nice seeing you. Dave, we'll hash out what we have to do next week. And folks, everybody, the time is going to have to change because this guy, I have to take care of him and get ready in the morning. So the show will probably be a little bit earlier next week on Sunday, but earlier. But we'll see. We'll get back to everybody.
Welcome to the dog world, my brother.
Right. Tell Lucky.
What about my voodoo doll?
Well,
voodoo doll
only if it
now.
works, I'll give it some credit. All right. So I will now leave us with our trailer. I think
I'm gonna, guys.
Take care, Kev.
Yep.
it will come
I'll
on
talk to you
eventually.
Monday.
No, it won't.
Oh, I think.
This land was made for you and me. That includes our poor